How's it going, everyone? I hope you guys are all having a great day. As let's get straight into things by taking a look at the latest run of the GFS model, the 18Z run. And as you can see, around 150 hours out, the GFS model is taking nearly a historic type scenario when it comes to a blizzard in the Northeast, where we see a very powerful storm system, extremely heavy snowfall right just to the west of the rain snow line, and this only intensifies if we were to go even further, where we see just a classic nor'easter type blizzard scenario by the time we approach the early portion of Sunday, with its millibar pressure hovering around 966 millibars. And of course, in a scenario like this would bring historic type snow totals to many of the coastal areas of the Northeast, including the big cities like New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and even Boston. So we're definitely going to keep a close eye on this over the next few days, as the GFS model over the past few runs has been persisting on the idea of bringing a significant winter storm to the Northeast by the time we approach the weekend of January 11th. And it's not only impacting Northeast, because as you probably have already seen with the GFS model, it's also bringing snowfall a little bit further southward, where some of the Southeast states get involved. We're talking about Oklahoma, northern Texas, Arkansas as well gets involved with some snowfall accumulation. And continuing to move forward with the forecast, we see that this snowfall could be heavy at times right over Arkansas, even northern Alabama, Mississippi, and into Georgia. You guys are experiencing snowfall. This would happen right around Friday, January 10th, so you definitely want to pay very close attention to that in the Southeast. And we even see that snowfall impact a lot of the same areas that are experiencing snowfall as well from Winter Storm Blair, which is ongoing right now over places like Kentucky and other areas along the Ohio Valley. So your big question is, what are the chances that this snowstorm will actually happen in this sort of scenario, where it brings just an insane amount of snowfall right over the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, while also bringing quite a bit of snowfall to areas that typically don't see much snowfall during the winter time. So the fact that the computer models have been persisting on this idea of a winter storm developing, especially in the Southeast, it makes me more inclined to believe that I'll say it's a little bit more likely than not somewhere in the Southeast you will experience snowfall, as we're approaching that forecast hour where we're going to get a better general idea of what exactly is going to happen. It seems like both the GFS model and the European model are in pretty good agreement regarding bringing snowfall to much of northern Texas, Oklahoma, and into Arkansas as well, and potentially even the areas further eastward like in Tennessee. But of course, the details still, the exact small details regarding the trajectory as well as where the rain snow line is with this storm system still has yet to be seen. I'll certainly keep you guys updated once we get a little bit more certainty with that, but I will say that we're more likely going to experience a snow event in the Southeast, and I'll keep you guys updated once we get a better idea of who exactly will get impacted, because there's still several things we need to keep in mind. Of course, how strong this ridge is just the east of this low pressure system will play a key role, because if this ridge ends up being a little bit too strong, then we're more likely to see the storm system take a trajectory a little bit further northwestward, which would mean that the southerly winds would increase, bring that warm air further northward, and reduce the possibility the areas further southward, let's say in northern Texas or northern Louisiana, or even the northern Southeast states, experience snowfall. That still has yet to be determined right around 4 to 5 days out. And also there's the other end of the spectrum where maybe this ridge isn't as strong, which would mean that this storm system would take a track a lot further eastward, and there could still be that possibility that maybe this ridge ends up being too weak to the point where by the time this approaches Northeast, it could completely miss out on Northeast if we were to see this low move just a little bit further eastward. That's still also in the realm of possibilities I want to keep you guys updated on. And there's another possibility, which is what the European model is currently forecasting, and it's forecasting that this upper level low won't move as far south to merge with this low pressure system right here until much later. And what that means is that will reduce the instability, because since this low isn't merging with this low pressure system to the south of it, that would mean that this storm system won't intensify as rapidly, with the pressure being a little bit higher associated with this low pressure system, and the instability overall being reduced, because associated with this upper level low is quite a bit of cold air and a northwesterly flow that would enhance instability. And in the European model scenario, we don't see that upper level low move as far southward. So while we still do see snowfall in the southeast, which is the reason why I do expect a snow event for Oklahoma and Arkansas and potentially for northern Texas, it does become a little bit more difficult to see that significant snowstorm scenario that the GFS model is forecasting if this upper level low doesn't move further southward to enhance that instability. So that's also a possibility as well. But even if this upper level low doesn't move southward, the Northeast still does experience snowfall. The mid-Atlantic states as well, even as far south as Richmond, Virginia, and Delmar Peninsula. But it definitely isn't anywhere near the powerhouse we were seeing in the GFS model scenario. So that's still another scenario we need to pay very close attention to give you guys a better idea with a 500 millibar height anomaly. So here's the European model scenario. We see an upper level low merge at first, but then there's another upper level low that doesn't dip as far southward and pretty much stays right up along the Canadian-United States border, which is very different compared to the GFS model scenario, where we see this upper level low completely merge with this low, enhancing the instability and just creating a powerhouse of a nor'easter by the time this approaches northeast. So we need to keep in mind of that factor as well to determine the chance of a significant winter storm for northeast, as well as the amount of range just say east of it, to see who exactly will experience snowfall. But what I could say with a little bit more certainty is that more likely than not, places like Oklahoma, Arkansas, and northern Texas, you will experience at least some sort of snowfall. I could say with more certainty that it should be right around at least 1 inch of snowfall. But I think that if the computer models continue to persist on this idea, the chance will rise that it could be a more significant snowstorm, where we could be talking about 3 to 6 inches of snowfall, and there's that, and of course localized areas would experience over 6 inches of snowfall right over northern Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. So places like Little Rock and Dallas, this could be your chance of snowfall by the time we approach the weekend, and I'll certainly keep you guys updated once we get more certainty with that forecast. But let's say the GFS models scenario was completely correct at this time. So if we were to take a look at the total snowfall forecast, we'd clearly see that this would potentially be a storm of historic proportions for the Northeast, because look at the Northeast, like, it's just, we're not even seeing green shaded areas, it's gray. Which, if we were to take a look at the gray scale on this snowfall accumulation map, that would easily be over 2 feet of snow, which would easily break many records across the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. This includes Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, much of the northern Delmar Peninsula, southern New Jersey, and going into New York City, you're still close to 20 inches of snowfall. Boston experiences a little less, but still in the range of 6 to 12 inches of snow. Much of Virginia, of course, gets pounded by heavy snowfall, and since you guys are already going to get pounded by Winter Storm Blair later tonight, so to add another snowstorm on top of that would just be quite insane, to be honest. And it's not only the Northeast as well. Look at the Southeast. We see a large area of 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, much of Tennessee, northern Mississippi, extending into Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and into northern Texas, easily experiencing over 6 inches of snowfall, which would be very significant for you guys, and even an isolated area where it's a little bit more than that. So this is assuming 1 inch of rain equates to 10 inches of snow, so it should be a little bit less than what you see right here, but it should still be around the ballpark of what to expect. So this would easily be a very significant snowstorm for the Southeast and Northeast if this were to come true, which I'm leaning towards that idea for the Southeast. That still has yet to be seen for the Northeast. So I'll certainly keep you guys updated on that. But for the Southeast, definitely stay tuned and even prepare, because I think that you should experience at the very least 1 inch of snowfall from this storm system. So here's a look at the European model scenario. So of course is Winter Storm Blair right now moving through the Ohio River Valley and the Mid-Atlantic. Definitely prepare tonight for heavy snowfall. But if we were to continue to move forward, it still brings snowfall to a lot of the same areas as the GFS model in the southeast, which is the reason why I'm leaning a little bit more to the idea of a significant winter storm impacting northern Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, especially since the forecast hour isn't so far out anymore. This is only around 4 days out, and while there's still certainly not a ton of accuracy when it comes to forecast 4 days out, there's still at least a general consensus when it comes to what exactly to expect 4 days out, especially when both of the main computer models are agreeing on this forecast. So definitely stay tuned for this as we get a little bit more certainty with the snowfall forecast for the southeast, or the southern Midwest, I should say. And for the northeast, like I said, this isn't expected to bring a ton of snowfall to the northeast, where we see many of these areas mainly experience around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall from this snowstorm, because the European model doesn't expect this to rapidly intensify since this upper level low doesn't move as far south. So we're definitely going to need the uncertainty is certainly higher in the northeast, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated once we get a little bit more of an idea of the snowfall forecast for the northeast. But definitely stay tuned over the next few days. So in terms of what's happening right now, we of course have Winter Storm Blair impacting much of the Ohio River Valley as well as the Mid-Atlantic. So we see that there's heavy, very heavy snowfall going on right around the Cincinnati metropolitan area. Louisville is now getting involved with freezing rain as well as a wintry mix. So definitely be prepared for a heavy and potentially dangerous amount of ice accumulation. We do have interstates as well closed throughout much of the Ohio River Valley, as well as power outages being reported thanks to this freezing rain and snowfall threat. And we're even seeing the snowfall extend as far west as St. Louis and Kansas City, which got pounded by heavier snowfall earlier today, but should begin winding down over the next few hours. But things should only be getting started for much of Virginia, where Richmond is now getting snowfall. Charlottesville, Virginia, West Virginia is getting involved, and soon that snowfall will move further northward into southern Pennsylvania, into Maryland as well. Washington, D.C. should experience accumulating snowfall. Same goes for much of the Delmarva Peninsula, and southern New Jersey as well should get involved. But New York City, you should miss out on this snowstorm most likely, as it seems like the northerly flow is just a little bit too strong that will keep this snowstorm further southward, impacting more of the Mid-Atlantic states. So New York City, for this one, you're likely going to sit this one out when it comes to snowfall, but definitely be prepared in the areas, I'll say, that are just to the south of the Interstate 78 corridor, where that's where you should experience accumulating snowfall from this storm system. So here's the additional snowfall forecast you should expect for much of these areas on top of what you've already experienced. So many areas, of course, to the west, I'll say, of Louisville, experienced the majority of their snowfall already, where we have reports of close to a foot of snow, if not over a foot of snow. And you guys, for the most part, should expect right around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. So definitely don't start shoveling just yet, because there's still more snowfall to go. And continuing to move forward, we do see that much of the Mid-Atlantic still has yet to experience their heaviest snowfall, mainly an area of 8 to 12 inches for Washington, D.C., the southern Delmarva Peninsula, as well as northern Virginia, West Virginia, and into southern Ohio. You still have yet to experience most of your snowfall. Pittsburgh should experience right around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, and for southern New Jersey, it should range anywhere between 5 to 8 inches, 3 to 5 inches for the most part, anywhere just south of Atlantic City, really. And then for the areas for northward, it mainly should be right about 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. So definitely prepare for a lot of these areas for heavy snowfall. But that's it for now, guys. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see even more weather-related content. I thank you guys all for all the support you've been giving me all these years when it comes to these winter weather videos. And I hope you guys all have a great day. Make sure to stay safe during these winter storms. And I'll certainly keep you guys updated over the next few days regarding next winter storm threats we see throughout the United States.